Hello and welcome to another episode of Issues and Insights. I'm Bryce Shoemate from Hardin County Government, and you know it is always great when I can talk about the great things that our police departments are doing all throughout our community. And so today's guest, we've got John Thomas from E-Town Police Department. I know many of you all around the area know John. John Thomas and Chris Denham, they're doing a wonderful job at E-Town Police Department. In fact, you all may want to look at a little Facebook post that they've got going on with E-Town Fire Department, and I'll just leave it at that. That way you'll go look at it and kind of see it. It'll give you a good chuckle. So, John, welcome to the show today, man. Good to see you.
Always good to be here, Bryce. And yeah, I definitely encourage folks, take a look at our social media, see what shenanigans Chris Denham is up to, what he has started. And yeah, we're having some fun back and forth with the fire department.
And you know, before we started the show today, we were laughing because I said, man, one of the worst folks you can actually, try to get into a contest with is the fire department because they got lots of water.
I guess it's playing with fire.
Yes,
with the fire
absolutely.
Department. Yes, very much so.
Absolutely. Hey, John, we've got some things going on at E-Town Police Department, but right now you are looking for some great men and women to begin a career at E-Town Police Department.
That's exactly right. I've been in law enforcement for 11 years now, Bryce,
and you make me feel old
the
time.
I feel old when I think it's been that long. But I can say, and I may be a little bit biased, but having interacted with agencies and other departments and kind of looked at the nationwide law enforcement scene, I can confidently say that if you're interested in law enforcement, that the Elizabethtown Police Department is one of the finest law enforcement agencies to work for. We have wonderful facilities, we have wonderful equipment, but what makes our department stand out is the quality of the people that work for us. And that's not by accident, Bryce.
And not only the quality of people, but the camaraderie that you have there with the folks that are at E-Town Police Department.
We take pride in who we are and what we do. And we are looking for only the best to come and work for us.
And John, I'm glad that you said all this because those things just don't happen.
No.
Those things start at the top.
That's exactly right.
And it started with Chief Schiller and now with Chief Land. You have got great leadership there. And those things just don't happen. They come because they encourage that type of behavior and that type of camaraderie and that type of atmosphere.
You're exactly right. It's a culture. It is a culture that is absolutely set by leadership and goes on down from there.
Absolutely.
We have a culture of excellence. We have a culture of service. We are very much a community-oriented police department. The things that we do on social media that the public enjoys, that's part of us reaching out to the community. We want to develop that relationship. We want to develop trust with the community. I think that's one of the most important things that we do. And again, it starts with having the right people. Police officers are trusted with a lot of power, a lot of authority, and they have the ability to do things that even the President of the United States can't do. The President of the United States can't take you to jail. He cannot deprive you of your freedom. We have that authority, and we want only the right people handling that kind of responsibility.
Sure. And John, in talking about this, not only have you mentioned some great things, but not only the equipment, but the pay is very well. Folks at E-Town Police Department are very well paid for our industry as that goes.
Due in large part to the efforts of former Chief Schiller, and thankfully we have a very supportive mayor and city council. Our starting salary is $37,500 before Police Academy. Once you complete Police Academy, you get an additional $4,000 a year incentive from the state for a total of $41,500. Very competitive for law enforcement.
Absolutely so, and it goes without saying when you start talking about equipment, you start talking about different departments that you can go into, because people that come to police departments nowadays, they want to know, what can I do? How easy is it for me to do other things in the police department, belong to other special services in the police department, such as yourself as PIO, or how easy would it be to be able to move up in rank and those kind of things. People are looking at that
Sure,
too, you know.
sure. Those are important questions and some of the most common questions we get. A lot of folks, you know, how do I get into investigations? Can I join the accident reconstruction team? What about the SWAT team? And here's one thing that I will say. In terms of career development, we have a very balanced approach. You know, you could go work for a department, say like Louisville Metro, a very large department. As an officer, you're going to take calls. That's pretty much what you're going to do. You're going to go to calls. If you encounter a major crime, you're going to call out a specialized unit to come deal with it. That is one of the benefits, I guess, of having a very large department is you can diversify. Whereas our officers, I think, are more well-rounded because we don't have specialized units for, say, robbery, homicide, for sex crimes, for property crimes. And our officers learn very early in their career how to take care of even major crimes on their own. Now, we do have an investigations unit.
I was going to say there are opportunities.
They do handle major crimes, but you will learn very early in your career how to handle more than you would at a larger department. You're going to learn how to do a preliminary investigation. You're going to learn how to secure a scene, process evidence. You're going to learn how to use de-escalation skills and CIT, dealing with those who have mental illness. And as you develop those skills early on in your career, you'll have the opportunity to branch out into investigations, to join our hostage negotiation team. I'm a member of that. To join our accident reconstruction team. I'm also a member of that. To get on our special response team. You will become well-rounded very quickly with our police department. You will gain that experience, and then you will have the opportunities to utilize those skills that you develop.
I never will forget a young lady that applied for Radcliffe Police Department one time. She said, I'm going straight for detective. And you know, a lot of people the misconceptions we talked about earlier, they see by watching a lot of the police shows that that's not true to form, that you're going to automatically be made a detective or all these, for lack of a better word, all these cool things that they see on TV. I tell everybody, for every 5 minutes of action that you might see, there's 3 hours worth of paperwork to go with that. So,
exactly right.
You know, and so the TV shows misconstrue a lot of people because they put out there that there's crime-fighting tools that don't actually exist.
Right.
Like the picture on the laptop that it scrolls and you get the person.
Oh,
like
absolutely. You pull out an app on your phone and scan somebody's fingerprint and it tells you who it is. Yeah.
I mean, those kind of things don't exist.
No.
But through great skills that you all hone on folks that you hire, they're able to do many things, and like you said, be able to be part of some of the special services as time goes along.
Right, and it's like any other organization. You start basic and you grow your skill set. You know, you can't be an effective detective without a patrol context. That's where you learn street smarts. That's where you learn how to deal with people, how to talk to people, how to do basic investigations. Right. I wouldn't be a good public information officer without a good patrol context. I had to understand the patrol side of our job, which is the bulk of what we do. Most police departments are based on their patrol activities. Right. We respond to calls, we do traffic enforcement. That is the majority of what a police department does. That's the most important part. So it's important for every uniformed employee, every sworn employee to understand that patrol context before they move on to something else.
And as you get older and you get out of it, you realize the most fun that you had was while you were in the patrol portion of it.
Yes,
you know,
very
because
much
you had
so.
Those contacts and something was changing all the time, and there's never anything that is the same.
No.
People that say it's a routine.
Yeah, describe a routine day for me. There's no such thing.
There's no such thing as a routine day. And so folks out there that like change and they like, I don't want to say excitement, but they like the intrigue of being tested.
Yes, there's challenges every day.
That's right.
There are. And something that people ask us, and I think there's a lot of misconception about this, Bryce, is what does it take? What are the qualifications to become a police officer? A lot of folks feel, oh, I've got to have some kind of training, experience, education before I can become a police officer. Maybe I need some military experience. Maybe I need a degree in criminal justice, maybe a security background. or specialized training. That's not the case. There are 3 things that we look for in a good candidate.
Yeah, because I know some people even think that they have to be a police officer in another agency
Sure.
before you
Oh
will
yeah,
take them.
and that's absolutely not true. There are 3 things that we look for, Bryce, and these are things really that we can't teach. Number 1, you've got to be a person of high integrity. Like I said earlier, we're given a lot of authority, a lot of responsibility. The community puts a lot of trust in us. If you're not a person of high integrity who doesn't do the right thing all the time, no matter who's watching, we can't use you. We have to have people of high integrity. Number 2, you got to be a people person.
Right.
We deal with people all day, every day.
Right.
You got to be able to talk to people, interact with people. You got to like people. And the final thing is you've got to have a strong desire to serve. That needs to be your driving force. You want to help people.
And just like reading increases our vocabulary and expands our horizons, so do speaking skills. You
Absolutely.
know? And being able to do that well, it, like you said, is becoming somewhat of a lost art.
It is. And so we are looking for folks with a special set of skills. High integrity, good communication skills, and a strong desire to help people. But those are the 3 things that we have to have. All the other policing part of it, how, you know, the laws that you'll be enforcing, how to use all the equipment that you carry on your belt, we teach that. That's our job. We put you through a 20, I think right now it's 23-week police academy. We bring you back, train you for 16 weeks in a PTO training program. We're going to teach you how to do the policing side of it.
John, it was 10 weeks when I went, so. Let's talk about going in and let's go about first off, how do I fill out the application?
Absolutely, that's the best place to start. Right now, we have a hiring opening on 2 different websites. Indeed.com, biggest employment website in the country. Just go to Indeed, search for Elizabethtown Police. You'll find our job announcement, or you can go to our Facebook page. We have it posted right now. It's pinned to the top of our page. Just apply through Facebook, and then I will personally send you an application. That's something that I like to do for every recruit. I like to reach out to them personally, offer to answer any questions that you might have. And I expect, if you're getting into law enforcement, you don't have any experience or training in law enforcement, I expect you to have questions.
So can you submit that application electronically, or do you want them to bring it in to you?
You can submit it electronically. Once they apply either through Indeed or Facebook, I will email them the application. They can scan it and email it right back to me. So you can bring it in person if you desire, but you can also just send it right back to me, and that's...
So can you fill it out right there online and send it, or do you have to actually scan it in, print it off, fill it out?
The current form that we have, you actually have to print it out and fill it out by hand. We don't have a form fill application. I hope that we can get one in the future.
That's something you need to do.
I know. We just got a brand new website, so we're hoping to, with the new website, to eventually integrate an application.
And they will get mad at me for telling this, but they did this for us at the county, and they know how to do those applications.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
I mean, I don't want to bust them out.
We're always looking to improve.
Heartland.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So I don't want to bust Kenny and them out, but they know how to do it.
Well, then we're going to hold their feet to the fire on that.
You need to go back.
Absolutely.
So we got the application filled out.
Yes.
What do we do now?
Once you fill out that application, the first step in the process is a written test. We're going to be giving that test sometime in March. We haven't set an official date yet. We're waiting to get a certain number of applications before we do. Once we have announced that, we'll contact everyone with an application on file and say, here's our test date. We will send them the link to a study guide. If they're interested in purchasing a study guide, I think it's $11. It's not too expensive. It's a basic civil service style test. We'll test your basic reading comprehension, some problem solving, mathematics. It's a fairly basic test.
Now here's a question that's asked. Do you have to be 21 at the time you take the test?
Yes, by state law, you have to be 21 at the time you take the test. So
Okay.
we do require that of applicants. You cannot be a sworn police officer in the state of Kentucky unless you're 21 years of age.
Sure.
So that is something that we do require.
I know some of the departments now will say as long as you turn 21 by the time we do this or we send you the academy or so on. So I want to make sure people understand.
Yes, some do allow that. We prefer to have our candidates 21 at the time they take the test, just so there's no issues. So.
Awesome. So now we filled out this application. We go in and take the test. You said there's a study guide that people can purchase.
Yes.
Where would they look up to find that study guide?
Once we have a test date announced, we're actually going to send an email to everyone who has an application on file, and we're going to send them a link to that website.
How long do you usually give them to study that, or so that folks out here might say, hey, I need to get this picked up so that I can give myself study time of X amount of time?
We give people at least a good solid month before the test to give them a chance to study it. Again, it's not a super comprehensive test. If you've got your high school diploma, if you maybe even have some college education, you're proficient at taking tests, you won't have issues with it.
Okay.
So
now, it seems like I remember at one time you all used to say a minimum amount of education was an associate's degree.
Currently, it is a high school diploma.
Okay.
That is our current base level of education. I can see moving forward into the future, those requirements will expand. I know that some departments, such as Lexington, now require an associate's degree. But at this time, we do not require that.
And it's nothing against anybody for doing that, because a lot of the things that you all are doing in law enforcement now is very high tech, and you've got to be able to have those learning skills.
Absolutely.
To be able to do that.
We're asked to wear a lot of hats. We're not just, we're called law enforcement. We do so much more, Bryce. You know this. We often have to wear the hats of social workers, family counselors. We have to use critical de-escalation skills to talk our way through situations. You have to have excellent communication skills, excellent writing skills,
yes.
Which those are cultivated, hopefully, through the process of a good education. So,
and I get tickled at some of the young people now that say, writing skills, I'm typing on the computer, why do I need writing skills? Because you have to be able to compose that. You have to have the ability to be able to think, to be able to compose that.
That's right. And you can't put emoticons in a police report. Sorry, we just don't allow that yet. Maybe somewhere in the future, but right now you've got to use real words.
So once we pass this written test, where do you go from there?
And then from there, it's a kind of a battery. You will go through a physical fitness test. Then you will have an oral board exam, and from there a background investigation, psychological examination.
Now your physical fitness test mirrors KLEC's minimal test, or does it?
It's actually the exit standard is what we use. We want our folks to be prepared when they go to academy, so we actually hold them to the exit standard of the police academy.
So if folks wanted to know what was expected for that physical agility test, can you tell them where they can go to see what those exit standards would be?
If you go to the Department of Criminal Justice website, they have those, it's a POP standard is what it is. It will have that physical fitness standard on their website.
Okay, and so that way you all can look at that and say, if I pass the written part, now this is my expectation, so I can make sure that I'm up to par to be able to do those, because you can't just start going out a month ahead of time and get yourself in shape to be able to do these.
No. And I'll be the first to say that it is probably not the most challenging physical fitness test out there. The military standards are higher. It's pretty basic. You have to be able to bench press 73% of your body weight. You've got to be able to do 25 push-ups, 19 sit-ups, I believe is the number. You've got to be able to run a mile and a half in a certain time period and do a 300-meter sprint. So if you're fairly physically fit, you can pass this test. But if you aren't, yes, you absolutely should begin preparing yourself now, because very soon after the written test, usually within a couple days to a week, is when we will give the physical fitness test. So you need to start preparing now.
And the mile and a half in the sprint is timed. So folks, you may want to get on there and look and see what those time limits are so that you can start. And what I would suggest is that you actually do all those tests together. And I believe, what was it, a 5-minute or 10-minute break in between them?
I don't want to even speculate. If you go to the website, it'll tell you. There's rest periods in between each one of the tests.
But if I was you all and you were serious about this, be able to go from one right to the other. Don't give yourself a break, because to be quite honest with you, being a police officer now is very physically challenging.
It is. And I think you and I can both attest to this, Bryce, that unfortunately a lot of officers, after they get through the hiring process and get through academy, they often don't take care of themselves the way that they should. And that's one benefit of our police department. Unlike a lot of police departments that only require you to pass a physical fitness test when you get hired and at academy, and then there's no standard after that, we actually require you to go through an annual physical fitness test, the same test. And we require new hires to be able to pass that every year. So it's kind of a good incentive to stay physically fit.
But in saying that, John, you all also have a fitness center at the
We
police
do.
department
We
that
have a
allows you to be
state-of-the-art
able to
fitness
do
center,
that.
and we actually allow our officers to work out 30 minutes on duty every day. So we will not just expect you to be fit without giving you the means to do so. We will give you the means to do so.
And I've got to tell you all, this is not an old man's game. This is, in fact, that's why I retired. I was to a point in my life where I needed, it needs to be young people that are police officers, unless you're in one of the higher administrative portions.
Well, I'll tell you right now that we've had several retired military guys in their late 40s, early 50s who have joined us, and they can still meet the physical fitness standards.
That's awesome.
And frankly, some of these experienced guys, they know how to talk to people better than some of the
yes.
younger folks. So whereas the younger folks may not be able to talk their way out of a situation, some of these older guys can, and that saves them from having to run or fight someone.
Sure.
So,
after you pass that physical agility test,
Yes.
then you're going to receive a call from you or
That's right, and we're going to give you a time to come in for an oral board interview.
And when folks come in for the oral board, what's that based off of, kind of, so that people can understand maybe what kind of questions might come about?
Well, I don't want to play our hand too much.
Sure. But I mean,
the number one thing that we want folks to keep in mind is we're looking for honesty. We don't want you to come in and try to impress us.
Right.
Don't tell us what we want to hear. We want to hear the truth out of you.
Right.
And we are going to ask some very personal questions, probably more personal than you might get, say, if you're going to apply for an office job of some kind, because we have to know that you're a person of integrity. We have to know that your background doesn't have any red flags that might tell us, okay,
Sure.
there's an issue with your integrity, there's an issue with your honesty or trustworthiness. So you got to be honest throughout the process. We're going to ask you, some basic questions. Why do you want to be in law enforcement? What attracted you to the career? We're going to ask you, what do you know about the career? We're going to ask you some hypothetical situational questions. You're in this situation, how would you handle it? Again, we want you to be honest. We don't want you to try to impress us. We want you to give us honest answers.
And I mean, it is nice to say you want to serve your community, but there's more to it than that.
There
so
is.
Don't
There
come
is.
in there and say, this is what I've always wanted to serve my community. Well, so does everybody else that works in any type of
Sure.
service job. So
Absolutely.
And once you go through that portion, if people are selected who have passed the oral interview, I assume there's another process.
They'll go through a suitability screening and eventually a background investigation that'll be conducted by one of our officers or detectives. It's not a quick process, Bryce, and it can't be. We have to thoroughly vet every applicant to make sure that we're getting the right person.
John, so that people don't become frustrated with I've applied and it's taken this long.
Right.
You made a good point. It's not an easy process and it's not a fast process.
No, it's not.
About how long from start to finish does it usually take for you to hire a police officer?
It can take anywhere from 3 to 5 months. Usually somewhere in between there is where it falls. And again, it's not that we're trying to drag the process out. It's just we have a lot of steps to go through, and we want to make sure that we are thorough.
And then once you're hired, I mean, like you said, then you've got to go to the academy.
That's right.
And there's other processes after you come out of the academy, because you have a field training officer that...
Yes, you'll be trained for 16 weeks. The academy kind of gives you a good base knowledge to work from. It'll teach you the law, it'll teach you how to use some of your equipment, some basic call response. But once you get back to E-Town, we're going to teach you the EPD way of doing things.
That's right.
And we're going to hold you to that high standard. We're going to show you how we do things, and you will be prepared when you're done with your training.
We used to laugh and say, once we hired somebody, it's really a year before... I don't want it to sound bad. It's really a year before you do me any good, because it takes that long of a period of time to get them trained up to where they need to be.
I mean, it's a critical job that requires, again, you to wear a lot of hats, and those abilities, those skills don't happen by accident. It takes dedicated training to make that happen.
And John, it's a good thing that we didn't have anybody else with us here today. Before we came on, we talked about making sure that we had enough time, or we were going to share time with somebody else. But just about all of our time has gone into talking about being able to hire the right person. I know to finish up, we got about 5 minutes left. Talk about Citizens Police Academy.
Yeah, so I mentioned, Bryce, that I think one of the most important assets that a police department can have is community trust. And I say that they can have that. You and I both know that community trust is not a given. I think that is one of the things that makes our department stand out, is we have one of the most supportive communities, probably of any I've seen in the state. We have a wonderful working relationship with our community. They support us. They believe in what we're doing. But I think that the key to maintaining that trust is being transparent. And that's what the Citizens Police Academy is all about. We're basically throwing open the doors to our department saying, come take a look at us. We're going to tell you what we're doing and why we're doing it. We're going to answer any questions that you might have. I mean, if you're a skeptic about the police, if you dislike or distrust the police, come talk to us. You're exactly the kind of person that we would like to talk to.
So people can apply to come to Citizens Police Academy by...
They can go to our website, etownpd.org. We have an application right there for Citizens Police Academy. It's absolutely free.
We'll put that address down at the bottom of the screen so you all can see that.
Or you can just contact me directly. You can message me on Facebook or email me at john.thomas@elizabethtownky.gov.
And again, we'll put that down at the bottom of the screen.
And I will be happy to directly email you an application. Again, you can fill it out, scan it, and send it right back to me. Another one of those applications that we need to get embedded on our website.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Is there a phone number that people could reach out to?
Yes.
I know you're busy.
No. I love when people come to talk to me. I love when people call me. Call me at 270-765-4125. My extension is 110. Or you can just ask for Officer John Thomas and they'll get you to me.
And again, we'll put that number down at the bottom of the screen. I know we've thrown all this out there, but we want to make sure that you're able to see that. So that's why we put it down at the bottom of the screen after we do this show.
That's right. And again, our Citizens Police Academy is an 8-week program. It starts February 21st. It meets Thursday nights from 6:30 to 9. And again, once you've completed this academy, you're going to know more about real policing than 99% of the public. And
even though I retired from the police department, I've actually been to Elizabethtown Citizens Police Academy because I put on the Citizens Police Academy in Radcliffe. I wanted to see what was different, what you all did different. And so I just as soon as I retired, that very first year that I retired, that very first February, I actually attended your all's.
Was it a good experience for you?
Absolutely. Had a ball. And folks, I got to tell you, when you come to the Elizabethtown Citizens Police Academy, there's going to be upwards of 30 to 40 people there. It's going to be a packed house.
Yes.
So be prepared to come in and have a lot of people, maybe some people that you've never met before, and it gives you a good chance to do some networking.
It is a great opportunity to network. And one of the great programs that we've started out of our Citizens Police Academy is the Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association, which you will have the opportunity to join once you complete that academy. They are some of the biggest assets that we have at our department. They help us with community events. They help fundraise for us. They attend charity events that we do. They serve as great ambassadors for the city. It's a wonderful volunteer program, and they meet on a regular basis twice a month at our police department. Again, just a wonderful volunteer organization that does tons of work. They are some of the best community partners that we have. And again,
I know my son has been to the teen Citizen Police Academy, which you all run during the summer months.
Right.
And he's also been to the regular Citizens Police Academy. And so one of the cool things that they also get to do, and this is not the coolest, but one of the cool things you get to do is you get to ride along.
Yes, that is one of the most eye-opening segments of the Citizens Police Academy.
So that you can see what our police officers actually do.
That's right, and you also get the opportunity to use our state-of-the-art response to resistance simulator. You'll actually be handed a gun and a taser and will respond to calls just like we would, and you get to see some of those kind of split-second life and death decisions that we have to make.
John Thomas, thank you for all that you do for the citizens of Elizabethtown and all that E-Town Police Department does. And thank you all for joining us. Our time has gone by fast. Of course, we both like to talk, and we're both proud of the police departments that we serve. And so thank you all for joining us today here on Hardin County Educational and Community TV, where we try to keep you informed on what's going on all around this great place that we call Hardin County. But more importantly, what's going on in your students' life in the Hardin County school system. Today's episode is sponsored by Hardin County Government, the City of Elizabethtown, and the Hardin County School System. Stay tuned. We'll keep you up to date on all that's going on throughout this community. John Thomas, thank you for being here today, and thank you for your service.
Always a pleasure, Bryce.
Oh, thank you. Stay tuned. We'll keep you up to date.